Well, happy 2023, everybody. This is the Duerrisms podcast presented by Advanced Physical Therapy alongside Muddy River Sports editor Matt Schuckman. I'm Chris Dewar. It's a new year and it's a new us doing what we do, at least at this point.
I don't think anything's really new for us. We still do this.
Okay, fair enough.
We continue to do this and we'll continue to do this.
You know, it's award season because it's the end of the year and
Right.
everybody has their favorite and their best of list. Matt Schuckman, was there something in the media that you loved this year? Television show, movie, maybe a favorite that you had?
Well, okay, there was a reboot that sucked me in immediately, and I knew it would when I saw it was advertised.
Okay.
So probably my favorite all-time television show is Criminal Minds.
Okay.
I literally have seen every episode and probably have seen every episode multiple times since it's all in syndication now and all that. But they have a reboot, and it's only streamed on Paramount right now.
Okay.
And it's called Criminal Minds Evolution. And so far, there's only been 5 episodes.
Are you caught up?
Oh, of course I am.
Good deal.
It dropped every Thursday for 5 weeks. So every Thursday morning, I watched.
Very nicely done.
First thing I did on those Thursday mornings. So yes, really well done.
Okay,
really
perfect.
well done. So that's part of my my streaming routine now.
Gotcha. Any movies that you saw this year that really stood out to you, that you really enjoyed?
Probably the one everybody talked about the most,
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick.
I would agree. And
It was a really well done movie.
I thought there was a nostalgia to it that I didn't expect when I walked in the
Yes.
door, and it took me back, and I thought, as movies go, and I know there are much more celebrated, like, art house type movies.
Yeah.
That was really, really well done. It
I
took
thought
me
so, too.
back. I thought very emotionally moving. So.
And my wife loves movies.
Sure.
And we have Netflix and we have streaming services. So she watches a lot more movies because she watches movies on the nights I'm not home.
Because you're never home like me. Yes, I know that
True.
feeling.
Or she'll go and hang out with her mom and dad.
Okay.
And they're movie people as well. So on a Saturday night when you and I are both busy.
Yeah.
You know, your wife's trying to find things to do, my wife's trying to find things to do. She'll go over to her mom and dad's and watch a movie.
Excellent.
So she'd probably be a better person for that question. I don't see as many movies as she does. But when we get to watch something together, we've seen some bad ones this year.
Okay. But you have a pre-screener, which is the important thing. Somebody to watch them before you.
Yes.
And to determine if they're worth your time.
Yes.
Very nicely done.
Which helps.
I'll add one in that I've really enjoyed
Sure.
that I didn't expect from the standpoint of television. I really got into George and Tammy. And I'm not a big country music guy.
Right.
But, you know, you go watch George Jones and Tammy Wynette and the weird dynamics of their relationship as played perfectly by the luminous and unbelievable
I was going to say,
Jessica Chastain.
there's a reason why you like this show.
Well, but it's more than just Sacramento's finest.
Okay.
Michael Shannon as George Jones is unbelievable. You can't look away.
The clips I've seen, I have not watched it yet, but the clips I've seen immediately made me go, oh, wow, he's the perfect fit for George Jones.
And you wouldn't have thought that walking in the door.
No.
And the minute he opens his mouth, it's perfect. So,
It is. Now, are you a Yellowstone fan?
I started and then it lost me some.
Okay.
So I know that a lot of people are still involved. I thought it got a little too over the top for me at the end of it.
I'm still very much into it. So I'm really enjoyed the first part of this season. They've hit the mid-season finale now and all that stuff. I've yet to jump in on the prequels that are streaming,
but
I'm anxious to see.
Harrison Ford, right?
Harrison Ford and
Helen Mirren.
that damn Helen Mirren.
Yeah, very nicely played.
Thank you.
So yeah, I know that gets a lot of play, and a lot of people have talked about that. And like I said, that's kind of a, I get it because some of the Sheridan stuff I love, like Hell or High Water, as I've told you, one of my all-time favorite movies.
Right.
He does some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Some of that got really like even kitschier than 80s, like Dallas and Not Standing.
I've never been
stuff.
a streaming guy.
Okay.
Always stuck to whatever service we had, whether it was cable, satellite, whatever. I've changed my tune.
I think we all have in this day and age.
For a lot of reasons. But what it's allowed me to do is experience some things that I wouldn't normally see, wouldn't normally get to.
On your time.
So yes, on my time. So hopefully 2023 opens that up a little bit more for me.
2023 has opened up basketball-wise for us.
Yes.
I want to talk to you because I know you were as busy as I was over the holiday season, running from here to there. From a positive standpoint, anything strike you basketball-wise as surprising or really good from the holiday season in terms of a team that maybe rose as we go into this January?
I don't know if the surprising would be it. I think Central Boys basketball validated what we thought of it. You know,
Okay.
obviously they coming off the state football championship appearance. They didn't have time to prepare for that season opener. I mean, they had 2 days of practice and lost to Brown County. And then so everybody was like, okay, well, we'll see. Then they went on this nice run, you know, and it was like, okay, let's see. But then they go to Macomb. Darn near win that semifinal game.
They darn near do.
Then they beat Southeastern in the 3rd place game. Turn around and beat Southeastern then on Southeastern's floor this week. It's validated kind of the thought process we had with them of this team's going to be pretty darn good.
I would also add from the standpoint of what they've done, their guard play. I mean, I think we knew Isaac Genenbacher was going to be really good. Their guard play with Nick and Breyer is really, really good.
It is. It really is. And they get after it so well defensively. I mean, I know we've seen some low-scoring games, but they can also score in transition because of that guard play, because they're quick. Thank you, Brad Dixon, for sprint-based football. Because that's carried over to other sports because of the way those kids train. So the quickness factor, the speed factor isn't just football-based at Central. The way they train, the class he runs, not just for football players, but the class they have, it carries over to all sports for them.
I would argue they have a very interesting game tonight on no rest with a trip to West Hancock, who is one of my favorite teams to watch, just based on the way that Jeff Dahl has gotten those kids to share the ball, how it all runs through Alec Himes, and how they have so many options off it.
And they shoot it.
They just shoot it well.
They shoot it well. And so that, I think that's another one. How are they going to develop the second half of the year? They had a good first half of the year. Are they going to be a team that we're talking about towards the end of February going, watch out, they're going to knock somebody off? I think that could very well be the case. Maybe the most surprising thing out of the holidays was Central Southeastern girls basketball.
Yeah.
You know, and you just can't ever take Matt Long teams for granted. You just can't. He's going to find a way to make his team competitive, to make his team surprise someone, to make his team, if they get overlooked, they're going to bite somebody. Well,
they bit everybody.
When you go and beat the number 2 seed, number 3 seed, number 1 seed in succession and win that tournament, speaks volumes. And the interesting part was talking to him between the semifinal and the championship game.
Okay.
And he called Paris a monster and a beast and was talking very eloquently about them. But he said, look, they're a team that could give Notre Dame some fits. Like he was looking at that as like, we're talking elite level, and then they go and dismantle them.
They did.
With their defensive effort.
They did with their defense.
And it's like, watch out.
Yeah.
You know, you give him time to prepare a team for a game in the postseason, you better be ready.
I'm not just sure it was preparation for the game. I think, and Matt touched on it with me after the fact, that they had that time together, that they got away from it all, that it was all basketball, kind of, because that's a team that didn't have a lot of confidence, I don't think, going into the, not the same way that Unity or Q&D has confidence, or even Brown County to some degree.
Right.
But I think they're there now.
I think so too.
I would also point out that I thought Unity, the way they handled Brown County in the championship game of that Beardstown Lady Tiger Classic, that was a pretty impressive performance as well. Came out, 10-0 right out of the gate?
Well, and then to turn around in the first game of the new year and handle Illini West the way they did was another, okay, look, it's not, hey, we're winning close games against good competition. It's we're burying good competition. The fact of the matter is their only losses to Quincy Notre Dame, and they gave them
a barely lost.
Yeah, I mean, they gave them a tussle. So, Unity's the one team I've pegged. Obviously, we have Quincy Notre Dame, defending state champion, that we knew on the radar that we had to be prepared for potentially at a state tournament. Unity's the one I've pegged was the other one, because Brimfield's good, but Brimfield's not as good as it was last year. The defending state champion that knocked everybody out along the way. But I think Unity is a notch above everyone else, at least in this area, in this region, at 1A.
I think Brad Begeman has talked about the evolution of Ashlyn Arnsman and what she's done. I was really impressed in that particular game with Kira Carruthers against Brown County, because that was a game that you knew was going to be like this. I mean, they were going to be at each other.
Right.
And she was composed. She stepped outside and hit shots, big shots that usually, she's a facilitator more than a shot initiator.
Yeah.
That game, she was different. And I think that gives them a whole different dimension, because they have other shot, if you have to deal with third and fourth options off of Sophia and off of Ashlyn,
Yeah.
it gets really hard to guard those girls.
It really does. And I think there's two others that I've been impressed with when I've seen Unity.
Okay.
Kylie Berry, who I think just does everything.
She's the Swiss Army knife.
She
right.
is. And Caroline Knox.
Right.
They just fit roles on that team so well. You've got a really solid leader in Ashlyn Arnsman, who I think is going to be really good at Quincy University
Are they
in
deep
due
enough,
time.
Matt?
I think so. Because I think he's playing enough kids because they're getting leads, that he's playing enough kids to see that. How deep do you have to go, though?
You don't, but I think if you can play 7, and in their 7 there are freshmen.
Right.
But they've been good freshmen.
They have been.
You know, Sailor Berry's going to be very, very good.
Yes, no doubt about it. So I truly believe we need to be prepared for them to be at Redbird Arena.
Is Brown County good enough to get them somewhere along the line, starting with the Central Southeastern Tournament this weekend?
I think so. I mean, you got 2 elite scorers in the Flynn twins, and then you're starting to see other pieces. Obviously, we knew with the size and length of Ashley Markert that what she could do.
Which is difference making against everybody.
No question about it. But I think Gracie Hedden's played well. You start to see other pieces. Last year's team had some of those pieces with the Casey McKeons, and so you're starting to see this group find those pieces and kids find their roles.
I stood in a gym with a bunch of people who watched Brown County beat Havana and beat them well.
Yes,
and thought
no
that
question.
maybe that streak against Unity was about to end. And obviously it didn't. But you can see the high end of girls basketball in our area, which is also broadening with what Highland did last night.
No doubt. Wow.
Is still really, really good.
We have a high level. We're going to be busy in the postseason with on the girls' side, no question about it. I think all the way to the final day of the
That's really good.
of the season. I mean, I really think we have high-end level teams that could win. We're talking like Unity. I think Unity could win in the 2A tournament.
That good.
They're that good. And they might get knocked off the way by a team like Brown County.
Okay.
Because Brown County is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And then you got Central Southeastern, Quincy Notre Dame in the 2A level. And then on the flip side of the river, you've got a South Shelby team that's really good. You got a Palmyra team that's really good. Highland with Ansley Bringer, when she can go off the way she did and they can play defense the way they did against Palmyra, they could knock somebody off. So
North Shelby still
North
in that
Shelby,
mix too?
I mean, it's a top 10 team in the state.
Yeah, I mean there's a bunch there. Before we go any further, because you and I have a fun fantasy basketball exercise awaiting us.
Can't wait.
Before I go any further, I want to ask you philosophically, because if there's somebody who coaching-wise seems unassailable with questioning what they do right now, it would be Eric Warren.
Yeah.
Do you like what they do at the Holiday by setting it down and breaking away, unlike everybody else, and just because you know the market for Q&D for Christmas tournaments would be immense? Or do you not like them coming off this long hiatus with what? They're going to Highland on Saturday?
No, they're going to Breeze on Saturday.
Breeze on Saturday. The boys are at Highland.
Boys are at Highland. I think it works. It works for them because they know it. Now, granted, they scheduled a little different this year. They made December a lot more of a
slog.
Than they have in the past. So they needed a break.
Okay.
Because of the way they scheduled leading up to the holidays. I personally think teams should go to the holiday tournament.
Okay.
I mean, again, part of that is I grew up in that era. I grew up, and that's just what you did. It's kind of like Thanksgiving tournament. That it's what you did. You ate turkey, and then you went to Blue Devil Gym on Thanksgiving night. So part of that mentality is this is what you do. You have Christmas, you enjoy it, you go practice for a day or two, and then you go to a tournament. It's what I've known ever since I was little.
Do you have a favorite Christmas tournament of all of those, or ones that you've attended maybe in the past, or do you like Collinsville? Or
I really enjoy Collinsville, and part of that is the people.
Okay.
I get to see Rick Hummel, I get to see Dave Wilhelm, I get to see some of the guys in our profession that I've known for so many years, and I've covered that tournament for so many years that it's fun to go down there. And Clay Smith, the athletic director at Collinsville, and Darren Lee, the head basketball coach.
They do a wonderful job.
Tremendous. I've been to Centralia, was a blast.
That gym was the old gym. Awesome.
That was probably one of my favorite experiences, was covering the tournament there because of that.
Okay.
I don't think it's as good in the new gym. That new gym's really nice, really beautiful, and all that.
Same, though.
It's not the same. Pekin's peaking, So a lot of the tournaments, back in the day, Quincy High had a lot of success at Pontiac, and I've heard Pontiac's known for how good the tournament field is.
Okay.
I don't know if they're so you get that. I don't know if there's one place I'd want to go. I just enjoy going to Collinsville. It's fine with me.
Okay.
You know, Bloomington's great because you got so many gyms and so many teams and so, but those gyms are so boring.
It is, and it's gotten so, it almost feels a little overstuffed.
Yeah.
My favorite is Waverly, just because
I hate that gym.
You have people crawling all over you. You have people getting in that gym.
It's not you can't play a high school game at a gym where the teams on the sideline feet are on the court because the room is not big enough.
You can't argue it doesn't have atmosphere, though.
Oh, I hate that gym. And I know Waverly people will watch this, and some of the other people will be mad at me for saying that. It drives me nuts to go to a game there and see feet on the court. You know,
packed in like sardines.
Packed in like sardines. It makes a great atmosphere. I'll give you that. But just, no. That high school, you shouldn't be played where the feet are on the court.
How do you feel about black uniforms? Well, we got you. I kid. I don't want to get you started, man.
But okay.
But that was a great article.
But on your point to that, the fun part of that was, now everybody kind of knows my line on those things.
Yes.
I'm a traditionalist.
Yes.
Very much so, especially at the high school and college level, more so than pro or anything like that. School colors are school colors.
Right.
Okay. I'm a big believer in that.
Sure.
So everybody kind of knows that. But the interesting part was after the first game on that Thursday, the first game they wore the black uniforms. We're talking about Quincy High basketball. The players came, what'd you think of the uniforms? And when I told them I didn't like them, it was like I kicked their dog. Dom Clay's face was like, and I understood it. They loved them. They think it's cool. They think, oh, look, this is sharp. And that's what they said to me. And they wanted to know why I didn't like them. So I explained it. And the cool thing was Ralph Wires and Dom and Camden Brown, and they're all kind of listening to me. And they looked at me, and they were intense. I mean, they took what I had to say, and it wasn't like, oh, he doesn't like him, we're not going to listen to him. They understood where I was coming from. And when they were like, look, respect, we respect that. And I respect why they like them.
Sure.
That was the cool thing about it. I didn't go, you shouldn't wear them. I just said I didn't like them.
Well,
and here's
which is
why.
Old guys and young guys should talk.
And it was a great conversation. And then it carried over to later in the day and joking with them about it and asking them. And again, do they look good? They're sleek. The cut, fine. I just would prefer to see Quincy High School teams in blue because that's a school color.
I liked your line about Ralph Wires looking good in whatever he wears. that was pretty well played.
But but I meant that. I mean, and it was so cool for those kids to be able to engage me that way. It wasn't, oh, there's an old guy, he's not, he's not cool. He doesn't he's not as hip as us or anything. They wanted to hear what I had to say. I wanted to hear what they had to say. It was awesome. And that's what's so fun about getting to know these kids as well as I get to, because I'm around them so much when I'm covering these teams, is they're willing to have that conversation. It was great.
If only American politics was so two-way in this day and age, as it were, as your conversation with the Quincy Blue Devils about their black and blue uniforms.
But that's the thing. And it doesn't matter. And that was a conversation about uniforms.
Right.
I had a conversation with Bradley Longcore and Keyshawn Thomas and Camden Brown, who didn't have his braids in, but they all got their hair braided before the holiday tournament. And had a conversation. Why'd you do it? And some people liked it, some people didn't. Some thought it looked good, some didn't. But it was just, they're just this group of kids, and it's been that way so many times over the years. They'll just have a conversation. They'll just chat with you. They'll sit there talking to Alex Canoyer after the QND basketball team about milkshakes. Because they went and got milkshakes. You know why they went and got milkshakes?
Why did they get milkshakes?
Because they went to Five Guys the night before, and they only had 2 workers at Five Guys, and they weren't able to get everything they wanted because there was such an overload of orders.
So I got to know, where'd they go for the milkshakes?
Oberweis Dairy.
Oh, yes. I've heard great things.
Yes. And apparently, according to Alex Canoyer, the fudge brownie milkshake was dynamite.
The things we learned from the mouths of young people.
That was really,
That's cool.
It's just, they're so, I love what I do. That's what it comes back to. I love what I do.
It's the connection with the young people who will eventually become older people who you will see raise kids that makes you feel better about this whole process.
Yep.
In the end. All right, so we're talking basketball. I promised us fantasy basketball.
Okay, what are we doing?
So we are going to draft a team.
Okay.
Girls first.
All right.
Boys second. 5 players. You get the first pick on both sides of the ledger.
What are my parameters?
That's my guess. My area.
Okay,
But
so
it's
basically
wider.
Northeast Missouri, West Central Illinois.
Right. We'll stay. I have one Southeast Iowa. I may throw in.
You can because I'm not as familiar with the Southeast Iowa players.
Depends on who you draft and where I get with that. Only rule is on the girls' side, you can't take anybody with the first pick named Abby. I can. You
That's
can take
fine.
whoever
No.
you want.
No.
You have the first pick, good sir. The floor is yours.
Okay. One, she'd be mad at me if I don't pick her.
Sure.
She's going to Mizzou.
That's a good school, I hear.
I hear it's pretty darn legit. Yeah, okay, yes. I'm taking Abby Schreck with my number one pick.
I think that is the obvious. I think that's the unassailable
I just can't make her mad at me if I take somebody else.
Would you want to after watching her take people apart?
Exactly. And you
souls?
know, and we're Mizzou souls now.
That you are. So I'm going to counter that, and I think I'll take the obvious counter off that based on the way that Ashlyn Oren's been played against, Abby.
Yeah.
And obviously we saw that moment in the fourth quarter. I think it was third quarter actually, with the back down moves, the little half shot, and then the spin move, where she showed really good stuff against.
No doubt.
And she, as you touched on with Quincy University, I think she's become a lot more stretchable.
Yes.
So I think as her
game's going to grow.
It is, and I think she's getting a lot more assertive, which I really love about her game. So. Pick one is good both ways.
Okay.
I would agree. You're up.
I'm going the same school you went with.
Okay.
And I'm going Kira Carruthers.
Okay.
Because we're gonna put her either on the opposing team's best player, or if we play zone, she's gonna be at the top. And those long arms and her ability to read the game, her ability to understand the game and see the game. Put the ball in her hand and see where it goes.
You're uber athletic right off the bat with Abby and going that way with Kira. I'm going to go a different way because I need a point guard. And I'm going to go with somebody who has proven ability against Quincy Notre Dame.
Somebody who's going to be playing in the GLVC next year?
Yes, somebody by the name of Miranda Patterson at South Shelby, who I think.
Figured.
And I love the way she controls a game. The herky-jerky ability to score for herself, her ability to shoot the three, which I think against your team now, with the length you have, I'm going to need. And the fact that she is so polished and that she played in state championship games. So, you're defending Clarence Cannon Conference Player of the Year, pretty good fit now. Number 3, I'm interested because I'm reacting to you from here on out.
Yeah. Well, see, so where do I go? I've got some size. I've got a lot of length now on my fantasy team.
You do.
But I need a ball handler.
You do.
I need somebody to just distribute. Layla Dade, Quincy High School.
That's an interesting pick. I thought you were going a different way.
I figured you might, so that's why I had to switch it up on you a little bit.
Okay, so
I like the way she runs that offense. I like the way she attacks. She needs people around her.
Okay.
There you go. You got Abby Schreck, you've got Kira Carruthers. Layla, go do your job and get them the ball.
All right, so I have a point guard and I have a center, and I need fit pieces around them.
Yep.
It's really hard to pick one Flynn over the other.
Right.
I'm going to go Katie as a secondary, tertiary initiator.
Okay.
Off the ball from Miranda, and go with that route because I kind of like where Katie Flynn is at this particular point. I think Claire is the better scorer. I think Katie brings a lot more overall. So I'm going to go with Katie Flynn.
Okay. I'm going to combat you with my 4th pick with another person who can get to the rim.
Okay.
Somebody who can score off the dribble. Is starting to shoot it better and really is progressing. Claire Williams of Palmyra.
Claire Williams is very, very good. I'm going to counter you with a Williams. I'm going to go North Shelby with Ava Williams to give me somebody who can post up against that, which brings us to the all-important 5 pick. And I have a designated Abby weapon that I'm holding on to for the end.
Well, I like that. I'm going to bring in another score.
Okay.
We're going to put as many options on the floor as possible.
I like what you've done here.
Give me Ansley Bringer.
She's played so well.
And she can score in a variety of ways.
Okay. So you have Kira Carruthers, you have Abby Schreck. I need somebody who can muscle up with who you are.
Okay.
I need somebody who gave Abby Schreck fits last year in the gym in Carthage. I'm taking Riley Reed, the best linebacker who's never played a snap on a football field, because I love her game.
I like it.
And I love her physicality. Man, we got 2 really good basketball teams.
I almost went a different direction, and I was going to load up on length.
Okay.
Because I could have gone Ashley Markert and then just gone try to get past us. We're just going to throw arms at you everywhere.
Well, I almost thought about going, okay, what's Matt going to do? And can I go Kendra King, Taylor Foey, and throw that at
I thought about that too.
And go, okay, do we out-physical Matt? So I think 2 really good teams there. That would be a fun game to watch.
I guarantee it.
Boys side. You get the first pick again.
Okay. Do I have to follow suit since I went Mizzou round 1? Do I have to go Mizzou round 2 just to make sure I don't upset anyone?
I'm taking the opposite of whoever you take on this first pick, just so you know. There's no suspense in this one for me.
Okay, I'll take Danny.
Okay, well then I'm going to take Bradley Longcore the third.
All right.
And the obvious choices are off the board for obvious reasons.
Yeah, it was going to go one way or the other.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Now it gets interesting.
Now it does get interesting because there's so many different options and how do you build a team?
Right.
So I've got a 6'7" guy who can score. How do I complement him?
Okay.
That's a tough question. And I'm spinning through my head of the entire area right now.
Okay.
I'm going to go a little different route than you may expect. Give me Bear Bach.
I had Bear Bach on my board just because he is so multi-dimensional.
Exactly.
And the things that he can do, and you can play him at all 5 positions on the floor, which he and Danny may be the only 2 guys you can say that of. So I think that's really interesting. I think that's a really good call. I am going to stab you in the soul right now. Because I'm not only going to take Bradley Longcore the third, I'm going to take Camden Brown.
Are you?
And go Blue Devil right off the bat because I love my wings.
Okay.
And that is a very wing-specific, wonderfully fun team. And I love Camden Brown's defense. I just love the link that he brings.
He does.
So, yes, right to your soul.
And he's got swagger.
He does.
He's got swagger. So does Bradley.
He does.
Why,
so my team is going to be.
they're going to be mad at me for not taking them.
I may take the whole Blue Devil team if I have to, just to put you on the outs over there, brother. All right, round number 3.
I need a point guard.
Yes, you do.
Nick Moore.
I love the way Nick Moore's playing.
I do too.
And I'm going to counter that by taking Isaac Genenbacher. Who
Okay.
I think. If you're going to have Danny, I need somebody who I can, just face up with Danny and give back as much as he's going to get.
Yeah.
And we've watched Danny overpower everybody this year. I think Isaac Genenbacher is one of the few people you can't overpower.
Yeah.
Pick number 4 to you, good sir.
Well, I've got size and length. I've got a Swiss Army knife.
You do?
I've got a point guard. I need a bruiser.
You do, but I'm wondering where you're going with this.
Give me Keyshawn Thomas.
Okay, well, you now have gotten back into the Blue Devils' good graces and can show your face back at Blue Devil Gym. That's a really good and interesting pick because I don't know that anybody is quite as good with somebody on their hip as Keyshawn is, and he's proven it time and again.
Got good footwork. He's going to get stronger. He's only a sophomore, but I like what he's doing. And man, go get a rebound. He goes and gets you a rebound.
I know it's outside your area. I need another guard, and I love what I know his toe is broken right now, but I love what Zach Evans has done for West Central this year. He's probably the most natural scorer.
Makes
of anybody.
sense.
And I'll take those points, and I'm going to need them against what you could do. So I'll take Zach Evans from West Central there, which brings us to spot number 5, which I think gets really interesting.
It gets very interesting, and I'm sitting here running through how do I complement all the guys that I've already picked.
Yeah.
And I'm debating between 2 guys in my head right now.
Okay.
But I'm going to go Illini West, and I'm going to go Nolan Dietrich.
You just stole that right off my board.
Good.
I don't know that anybody has improved as much as Nolan Dietrich has this year,
Yeah.
just in terms of the way he's played and what he's done. I don't have a center, so you've kind of forced my hand with this. I'm going to go Michael Wilson at route, number 1 team in Class 1A right now.
Right.
Dunking machine, getting up down the floor. Him playing with Bradley and with Camden, and that kind of offense, I think, would give us a unique energy. And I need a rim protector, obviously, if you've got Danny on the board. So, man, those are 2 really good teams as well. You did really well at this.
I don't think I went the direction you thought I'd go.
I didn't, and I don't know that you thought I was going to go Blue Devil.
No, that one floored me.
Yes, because I know you were holding those picks, or at least Camden.
Well, I was waiting for one, trying. I didn't want to come out both barrels right off the bat.
Let's talk a little bit about college basketball real quickly before we wrap up. We've got obviously a huge game for Quincy University tonight. So far, I think the Steve Hawkins hire has been a really good thing. I mean, it's in process and in progress, and I know he's not happy with it because he'll never be.
It's so funny because you talk to him about it, and he's never happy with his team. It feels that way. And I know he is. I know he loves his guys. I know but he wants a certain mentality from them that isn't there yet. They're getting there. But he's had to rebuild that mentality with this group. But they're finding ways to win games. They're finding ways to stay very competitive. He just wants more from them. More probably off the court, in practice type of stuff of the right mentality. But they're getting there. And so I don't know if he'll ever truly be happy with it, but I see the progress they're making, whether he wants to admit to it or not.
Who's happy with the sandcastle, though, before you can see it fully formed?
It's very true.
And I think he has, I mean, I love the way he's recruited and the type of targets that he's got, because they feel very much like, you know, way back in the day, Steve Hawkins type players, just for the modern game.
Correct.
Which I really like.
Yeah.
I think they have a chance to be pretty good in a little faster time than most people give them credit for.
I would agree with that.
I'm not talking
I would agree with that.
this year, but I'm talking 3 years from now. I think we're all going to be very pleased with what this hire turns out.
I think if you haven't seen him play yet, the one guy they've already signed in Jake Hamilton from the Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin, you're really going to enjoy. There'll be a story dropping on Muddy River Sports.
Oh, cool.
Either tonight or tomorrow about Jake. I had a chance to break it down with him earlier this week. Set the SHG career scoring record, broke Dick Schofield's record during the holiday tournament.
Would they win 4A, Sacred Heart Griffin?
Who, I don't know, man. They're really good.
Okay.
I saw Decatur MacArthur, who's undefeated in 3A. Again, really good.
Okay.
Chicago Simeons in 3A. Really good. Yeah. So, but then when you go to 4A, you've got a Moline, you've got a Whitney Young. I mean, you got a Curry. I mean, could they win? Sure. I think any of those 3A, 4A teams.
Okay.
You know, I don't think there's a team that you're sitting there going, they're the best team in the state. They're better than everyone else. They're going to win 4A, and nobody's going to touch them.
So you think, okay, that's fair. I wanted to get your assessment because you obviously see a lot.
Yeah, and I think that Sacred Heart Griffin, they just play well. I think one of the reasons they could compete at that level, or 3A, you know, wherever it's going to be, is chemistry, camaraderie, and the way they play together. Yeah.
It's a really interesting.
But I think he's going to be a great fit at QU. I think people at QU are going to love him. I think fans are going to love the way he plays and what he brings to the floor.
John Wood, coming off a rough loss to DMAC.
Yeah.
Still just kind of sculpting and shaping for Brad Hoyt?
Yeah, and I know talking with him coming back from the Christmas break, wasn't thrilled with the practices leading up to the game against DMAC. Just the mentality. And I think that's the thing, is this group has shown it can beat and play with the elite of the elite, and it can also struggle at nights.
That's young, isn't it?
And that's young. And, you know, and I think as he points to, second season always begins with the start of conference play. All this work that they've done throughout November, December, early January is done to prepare them for conference play, then to get them prepared for the region tournament and hopefully the national tournament. I think they'll be ready. I mean, I know they've got 9 days before conference play begins. But I think they're going to learn from that loss to DMAC, and they're going to figure it out. They always figure it out. They're always in the mix in the conference. This team is going to be in the mix for the conference. Now, the conference is going to be good. Danville's, I think, 14-2 right now. So, I mean, the conference is going to be good. I love the pieces he has. Can he get them all together and have that mentality when conference play starts of how they need to play?
Anything else on your radar off the board? I know you wrote a great article last night on the Quincy High wrestling team and their sagas during the course of the holiday season and Southwestern Airlines.
Well, we're actually going to have the opportunity to see local wrestling quite a bit here in the next few weeks. We've got the Quincy Invitational coming up.
Which means it'll snow 4 feet.
True.
Phil Neely's going to kill us.
Yes, he will. Well, you.
Yeah, me. I said it.
Yeah. Well, where's the weatherman? I mean, that's who he's going to kill.
Yeah, well, as well he should at this point.
Notre Dame's got a home duel, and then they'll have their own tournament. So I think we're going to see a lot of local wrestling. But that Quincy High team, especially those upper weights at 160, 170, and 182, Murderers Row, with Owen Uppinghouse, Max Miller, and Briar Newbold, those guys are going to do something special in the postseason.
That's awesome to hear.
And we talk wrestling. We only talk about the best wrestler we have, who's on the other side of the river.
Yeah, and who picked up his first loss.
Yes.
So, which I think is a little different animal. I heard that match, which was in the nowhere of Hallsville, you know, that nobody was one of the best matches anywhere in the country, probably over the course of the holiday season.
Yeah.
And it happened in little tiny Hallsville.
Yeah, well.
And you know, what was it, a 3-2 loss, I think?
I believe that's what it was.
So, I mean, you know, there will be no undefeated run through 4 years, but still the most accomplished wrestler in the history of our area.
Yeah, and he's going to, there's still more ahead for him,
yes,
which is really neat.
Anything else on the Muddy River radar? Anything else? I see Ben Marth is now back in the fold.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing.
He started doing some writing for us
Awesome.
Toward the end of last year, toward the end of 2022, just once basketball season started. And we had made plans to do a podcast and said, let's wait till the new year and launch it. So the Muddy River Breakdown is now, we'll go weekly. Ben and I will break it down.
His voice has been out of it far too long. It's good to see him back.
It's great, and he has the eye for it. And you and I have talked about that. When you go to a game, what do you see? What can you give the viewer or the listener? What can I give the viewer, the reader, that they don't see, that they don't know about, that they don't? Ben has that eye.
He does.
And so he can help us in the writing side of it and the production side of it from Muddy River Sports side. But then when it comes to the podcast, there's lots to talk about that he sees that maybe I don't see.
Sure.
So we got that. We got What the Shuck podcast is up. There should be another one up hopefully today.
Cool.
So we're gonna have a different guest with that one each week, and just try to let that be a little more free flowing, and who knows what's gonna come out of that. This week was Ron Kinscherf, who
awesome.
works for us at Muddy River, joined me for that one, which was cool, and talk about how even though he had been involved in athletics for so many years as a radio broadcaster and as a coach and all that, he had never been truly part of a media entity. So he's learning how the whole process works, which was neat to hear him talk about the things he saw from what we do.
Okay.
Which was pretty cool to get his perspective on things and that kind of stuff. So Muddy River Showcase will be coming back this year.
Excellent.
I wanted to make sure you knew that.
A little breaking news.
Yeah, so we're starting the process.
Have you set a date yet?
June 17th, I believe, is the correct date. I'll have to double check that. It's that Saturday.
Okay.
But yeah, so we've started the process for that, making sure we get the teams lined up and the whole bit for that. And we're going to do Shuck on a Truck. It's figuring it out with the weather, the best way to do it between now and until we can get back to spring when the weather's nicer. So I know we'll have a special Shuck on a Truck guest here in a couple weeks, a Hall of Famer.
Ooh, okay.
So that'll be coming up.
What, by the way, was the #1 Shuck on a Truck from last year in terms of viewership?
The QND boys soccer team.
Which also was probably the most people you've had on that truck?
22 people on the tailgate and bed of the truck. And what most people don't realize when you watch that is, so obviously I'm sitting on the tailgate and people sit on the tailgate next to me, and then the team piled in the back of the truck. Greg Reese sat on my lap.
I have no comment. You have left me absolutely, utterly speechless. I could say things.
Nobody could see that part of it.
There are things I want to say. I'd like to keep my job. That's really good.
So that was a great one. Andre White got a lot of views. It's gotten, to be honest, it's gotten more views than I ever thought it would.
It really has taken on its own. I mean, it is the most unique thing in our area, which is really cool because it was kind of a throwaway for me, wasn't it?
It's just fun. And we're going to do a Quincy High Wrestling one next week leading up to their invitational. And then the week after, like I mentioned, we'll have a Hall of Famer in the baseball realm.
Baseball realm. Okay.
So,
fair enough.
So we'll have that. And then, again, it's right now it's all weather permitting. Who's willing to sit outside in the cold with me?
I think it's time for John Wise.
Or can we put wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh, yeah.
I bet I could get him to do it.
I bet you could.
But we may have to pull it in the truck into a garage if the weather's too bad for some of these things. But yeah, so Shuck on a Truck will continue despite winter weather.
You are a man for all seasons, Matt.
I'll sit outside in the cold. You know that.
You don't care.
No, I'll do it. What the heck?
Great having you back with us.
This has been a blast as always, and we need to do this more often.
We will. I promise. As a New Year's resolution, we got some of our technical issues hammered out from the last. We recorded about 5 of these that were really good. Never made the air. Now we're finally
the
back.
last one we did never made the air because it got eaten by the ether.
Yeah. Well, it's like Gremlins.
Yeah.
Only on steroids sometimes. That is Matt Shuckman, the Hall of Famer, your editor for Muddy River Sports, general all-around good guy, and man about town. Look at that.
Wow, I can't match that.
And a big thanks, as always, to our friends at Advanced Physical Therapy who do such a great job supporting this community. Yes, for you, for us.
For all of our entities and for the community.
They really do.
Fantastic.
And we will see you hopefully very soon with this man, because before you know and before you blink, we're going to be in regionals, believe it or not.
It's going to be here fast, but looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you soon right here on Duerrisms, the podcast.